Welcome to Nation in Conversation. I'm Theo Foster. Today with me is Tinus Prinsloo from AFGRI. Tinus, if we look at the agriculture sector today, and you look at the challenges specifically, and I want to aim at the producer's side, what would you say are the main challenges in the producer environment?
Theo, I think the biggest challenge at the moment is the low maize price. Obviously, it's relatively low compared to last year when we had the record crop. I think the second big challenge at the moment is the expropriation without compensation. It makes a lot of the farmers very nervous. And I think the drought in the Western Cape is also affecting the southern part of the country.
Obviously, in an environment where there's this kind of competition, how do you make sure that you remain relevant in terms of a community that's under pressure? What is your message to the farming community?
I think the farmers should, let's start with the expropriation without compensation. I think they should just relax and not be emotional about this. Nobody's got the answers at the moment, so that's going to take some time before we know which direction this is going. On the drought in the Western Cape, let's hope it's a better season than last year. The indications are that it will be better than last year. And then the low maize price, that's going to remain. Unfortunately, there will be another big crop in the northern side of the country. So I think the maize price will remain under pressure, and that will affect the farmers.
Now, finance is part of any farming operation. And if you look at the development of finance, you're on the one hand competing against other agriculture companies, but also against the banking sector. If you look at that competing against the banking sector, you have to position yourself in a way that you remain relevant. How do you get that right?
Yeah, it's very challenging to stay ahead of the pack. I think we introduced products that changed the whole business model from the old co-op sector to a company. We introduced some products, some of our competitors followed. One example is the revolving facility. In the old co-op days, as you know, the co-ops offered the finance, they offered the storage facility, but the farmer had to buy all his input from the co-op. He got his finance from the co-op and had to buy his inputs from the co-op. We changed that and said, let's put the money into the farmer's hand, let's give him the opportunity to buy wherever he can get the best deal. And that revolving facility just took us to another level. We followed up by introducing other products to the farmers, and I think the biggest advantage we had was to go outside of our traditional area and also to go outside of the grain value chain, because we started off as a grain co-op, and that helped us to grow the book substantially in our area.
Let's take this back a few steps. You are in competition specifically for the bigger clients with the banks, and the banks are broadening their offering. They're continuously expanding their reach. They are obviously going for your top clients. If we go back a few steps, how did you position AFGRI in the last few years to remain relevant and competitive?
Yeah, Theo, I think we started off by saying initially we were only doing business in our own area, typical co-op areas that we used to be. We changed our strategy to say, well, first of all, let's go outside of our traditional area. Secondly, let's go outside of our industry, not only limited to the grain industry. And I think that helped us a lot to do business all over South Africa in various industries, not only limited to the grain industry. I think that helped us a lot. And then secondly, we also took our book off balance sheet. That helped us to grow the book. For us, we had to look at our product offering. We introduced the revolving facility, not what you used to get in a co-op system. In the co-op system, you have to buy from your own retail branches. By offering the clients a revolving facility, they were in a position to buy wherever they can get the best deal.
Let's take this back. The old agriculture cooperative model was that you provide finance to the farmer. He uses that finance at your shops and at your suppliers to buy whatever was required to plant the harvest. That harvest then gets delivered to you, and that was a closed circle. So you almost had angles on the client in all these elements. So what you did is you went outside the grain value chain, which means the other cycles are not there, but also you went outside your traditional grain area.
That's true, yeah.
How did you manage to, what makes your offer competitive?
I think the fact that we're very flexible on our products. And secondly, I think the biggest advantage is our turnaround time. I mean, the clients these days can't wait a few months to get a result on an application. So for us, that was the personal contact, turnaround time, and to be flexible with your product offering. If we're not rigid on any of the products, so we had to say, well, if the farmer wants 10 years to repay a facility, or 12 years or 15 years, we had to comply with the requirements from our clients.
Now, part of this product offering is obviously you have to start to compete on technology, because banks, and specifically banks in South Africa, is in some of the instances the leading technology adapters with various avenues that you can communicate with the bank or transactions do with the bank. How do you then, as an old style historic cooperative, how did you take on the challenge of digital banking, electronic banking?
Yeah, that's a good point. We started the e-platform 3-4 years ago that enables the farmer to do transactions from home. He can pay suppliers, he can do basically anything that internet banking can offer a client, except for the fact that he can draw cash. And that brought us to the next step to say, well, if we want to offer the client the full spectrum, then we have to look at a banking license so that we can offer credit cards, which was the last outstanding issue on our side, or even to take deposits from clients, because some of the bigger clients from time to time sit with surplus cash. So that was the idea behind the fact that we said, well, let's look at buying a bank. And as you know, that was the latest initiative that AFGRI undertook to see if we can get involved in banking to offer the client the full spectrum.
Where's that process?
It was approved by the Minister of Finance, as well as the Reserve Bank. They recommended the transaction. The only outstanding issue, we're not the only shareholder in the new bank. One of the other shareholders needs to get Competition Commission as well. On our side, the Competition Commission was approved, and as I said, the Minister signed it. So as soon as the other partner gets Competition Commission, then we're ready to roll.
All right. Now, AFGRI, the old style cooperative, owns a bank. That has risks, opportunities. From a client perspective, what would be the difference when I interact with AFGRI?
I think the fact that we can offer a one-stop service to the client, not only all the traditional products that he can get from Unigro at the moment, if we can do, on a financing point of view, we can do anything. But the fact that we couldn't take any deposits, the fact that we couldn't do transactional banking, the fact that we couldn't offer credit cards, that opens that door for us to say to the client, listen, now we can offer you the full one-stop service that you need.
From a practical point, are you planning to open branches close to the AFGRI outlets, or from a practical point, how would that process unfold?
The bank that we bought, Bank of Athens, it's got 7 branches. That's obviously not enough, and it's also not at the right places. So for us, we sit with a retail network of 69 shops scattered all over the country. I think that will help us, for starters, to maybe, as a starting point, offer a ATM service in some of the branches. But with time, we will expand the branch network to the areas where we service our clients.
Is the plan to service more than the agriculture sector? Was at this point in time focused on the agriculture sector?
For now, it's purely focused on the agricultural sector to service our existing client base.
I want to step one step away towards the client base. Obviously, from a size of the harvest point of view, it is not the size that we have seen the record harvest last year, but the price is obviously kind of half of what it was. So if you take a look at the size we had, but the price is half of what it was. your experience, what is the position of the farmer in your area?
I think if you look at our area specifically, we've got a good area, as everybody knows, and I think the crop in our area will be slightly bigger than initially anticipated. It will not be the same level as last year, but it will be a decent crop. In fact, it will even be bigger than the long-term average in our area. Yes, you're right. I mean, the prices are under pressure, and that impacts directly onto the farmers. So yes, it will be not the same as last year, but again, it's better than the long-term average.
Tinus, thank you very much, and all the best with the rest of the year.
Thanks, Theo.
From me, Theo Foster, from Nation in Conversation, good day.